My mother-in-law asked my husband a year and a half ago to watch over her dog for when she went to surgery and rehab following surgery. She's a healer. I had no say in it because I didn't even know until the dog was at my house. I had a problem with this from the beginning. The dog was completely untrained. Multiple times the dog would jump up on our table, steal food from the kids' plates, and growl at you when you corrected her. She went after my cats multiple times. She crapped in the house constantly, no matter how often she was outside. She would do zoomies around the yard for easily 40 minutes, come inside, and immediately squat to poop. And she nipped my and my husband's face, not the kids, oddly enough. Hard enough to draw blood, too. If you pulled away before she got you, you could hear teeth smashing against each other. I didn't want the dog and expressed it hundreds of times. He refused to get rid of her because of his mother, despite his mother having been out of rehab for over a month at that point. Well, his mom told us 3 months ago that she would take this dog back in April. But 2 weeks ago, she came to our house and, surprise, surprise, she has a new dog. She told us, "Well, you've had her for so long that I figured you'd just keep her." I had just found out I was pregnant a month before this. I told my husband there was no way we were keeping this dog. I never even wanted the dog here. He eventually said okay, and he found a nice couple who owned a giant farm to take her overnight to see if it was a good fit 3 days ago. We got a call the very next morning saying that the dog was hit by a car. He rushed us to get her and bring her to the emergency vet. She needed amputation, surgery on her front paw, surgery on her pelvis, metal plates put in, etc., etc. The total for the surgeries was almost $13,000. They told us before doing any of the work that they had a healer rescue who was willing to take her if we couldn't afford the surgeries. I went back out to the car at this point because I was feeling nauseous from not eating anything and being pregnant. He comes out about a half hour later and tells me that he paid $7,800 toward the cost, our savings, and opened an animal care credit card to cover the rest. The card has a 26% interest if you don't pay the cost back in full in 6 months. Now he's saying he can't get rid of her because she's just been through too much, and she's my friend. I am so wildly repulsed by this that I can't even look at him the same anymore. This is divorce territory to me. All of our savings are now gone, and we'll be looking at debt because of this 26% interest credit card he opened? And now he expects me to deal with carrying this dog around and squatting around the yard for her to go to the bathroom when I already have hypertension from pregnancy. I've been deemed high risk. I told him I didn't think I could stay with him after this. I do not trust him at all anymore. There were options. A healer rescue was willing to take the dog and cover the cost, but he instead threw us into debt over a dog that he told me he was getting rid of, and I'm all set. He said I'm an idiot for not seeing his point on this. I do see his point. He loves the dog, obviously, but we are pregnant, and he just depleted our savings over a dog that bites faces, and I don't think I want to be with him anymore. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'm a dog lover, but this dog seems to be putting you and your kids at risk. I wonder if he didn't ask his mother for the dog and used the guise of we're taking care of it while she's recovering. I'm so sorry you procreated with this man. Better to leave now, though, before he has a chance to do more damage. Although I don't imagine how that would be possible since he's cleaned y'all out already and then some. If he'll do this, he'll do anything. He's a cheater. Just a different kind than most people think of when they hear that word. He made a major financial decision without consulting you or gaining your agreement. Worse, it involved joint funds that belonged to you and your kids as much as it did him. Even worse, he knew you didn't want the dog, and y'all had already agreed to another plan for the dog. And last but not least, he cleared out your entire savings and incurred debt to fund his decision. This is straight up financial infidelity. OP got cheated on by her husband with his dog. Man, that's crazy. I can't wrap my head around the fact that he's okay with depleting his family's savings account 1 month after finding out OP's pregnant. I genuinely can't fathom such a thing. I hope she divorces him and the credit card is only in his name, so he has to pay off that debt on his own. I'd say cut your losses, OP. He can enjoy his dog somewhere else, far away from you and your kids. I have 2 wonderful kids, a son, Oscar, teen, and a daughter, Holly, nearly adult. My son gets very, very bad migraines. He can't eat, can't sleep, can't do anything. It's a stressful time for everyone in our family, and when he gets them, he usually takes a day or 2 off school. It happens rarely, so this is not an issue. He's currently in one of these episodes, as my wife and I have taken to calling them, so he's in the guest room resting. Obviously, he can't do chores when he's like this, so my wife or I pick up the slack. Holly always gets a bit edgy when Oscar has these attacks, and generally acts a bit grumpy. I always assumed that these were out of concern for her brother, so I'd usually get her some sweets or something to take her mind off of it. Today, Holly saw me emptying the trash, which is usually one of Oscar's chores, and she gave that really prolonged sigh that people do when they want you to ask them what's wrong. I put the trash back and went to talk to her. Holly's upset because we never do all this for her when she has a headache. I explained gently that Oscar doesn't get headaches, he gets migraines, and that when she's as sick as he is, we do all this. But Holly was still upset. This all came on quite quickly, so I tried to get her to understand, but she refused. She carried on telling me how Oscar should just get off his lazy butt. I reprimanded her for talking about her brother like that, especially since she knows how hard this is for Oscar, and he's hardly having a good time playing video games or something. Edit, as in he's not doing something enjoyable. Not that he's not enjoying playing games, he can't play games right now. Holly continued saying it was unfair for us, edit, me and my wife, obviously not Holly, to do all his chores, and he should at least do the garden. We have a big garden, and neither my wife nor I are fit enough to care for it like we used to. Oscar, being the sporty guy he is, took over. I told her bluntly that she could do it herself if she cared so much about the garden. She got mad about this, and I admit I probably shouldn't have suggested it. She started accusing me of favoritism, etc. I told her to go to her room and calm down, because she was shouting loudly, and Oscar was resting in the room right next to us. She stormed off, but now I'm wondering if I was too harsh. Am I the idiot? Edit. My son is in the guest room, in case he needs an oxygen mask. You are the idiot. Your daughter feels you're playing favorites and has been frustrated that you haven't noticed how she feels. It probably didn't come on suddenly. It's just that you hadn't noticed. Now she's told you how she feels, so this is your chance to make things right by talking to her and working with her to restore your relationship. She's almost an adult. Everyone is self-centered when they're her age. All she sees is her brother getting to put his chores on someone else regularly, which she doesn't get to. Honestly, OP should leave the chores undone until Oscar feels better. In real life, he will still have to do chores around his migraines when no one else is there to help him, as most people with migraines do. Heck, I've had to work with a migraine before. If chores hold up the household, like taking out the trash, then OP should give him different chores or rotate those necessary chores. It's brutal for you to have a kid with migraines. It's hard for one kid to understand why the other kid never has to do anything. And it's most brutal of all for your son, who just wants to live, but has to feel his face exploding. There are no idiots here. It's just a hard situation. You're doing your best, OP. Keep trying to explain to your daughter. She will get there eventually. I, 22 female, and my fiance, 26 male, had our wedding date set for October of next year. We announced it 3 months ago at a family barbecue, and everyone seemed excited. We've been engaged for a little over a year now, and we wanted to announce the date before we even sent out invitations, so everyone could plan for it. Our initial plan to pay for the wedding went as follows. We saved $500 monthly for a year. We're getting married at the small town family church, so $6,000 covers what we need. A week after the announcement, my parents, the bride's parents, gave a very generous $2,000 donation to the wedding. My parents and my partners have about the same finances. My parents decided to skip their spring break trip to donate. My mother-in-law heard about the donation. We thanked my parents publicly but didn't specify the amount. At the next family gathering, she decided to ask my parents about it, where she'd learned the amount and how they afforded it. There was some conversation before I walked over, but this is what I heard my mother-in-law say to my fiancé: "Don't worry, I'll pay for your next one." My mother-in-law hasn't ever liked me. She says I'm dramatic. She's probably right, to be honest. My fiancé told her firmly to shut up. My parents looked angry as well. My mom said she didn't think it was fair that the bride's side of 6 people, a small family, donated more than my financial side, 20 people. I don't have any grandparents or aunts or uncles left, so my family is smaller. I told them that I love their donation, but my mother-in-law's side doesn't need to donate. My mother-in-law responded with a snappy, "I'm not giving up my vacation just because you two are broke." I got angry and told her again that I didn't want any money from her. In mid-April, my mother-in-law posted on Facebook about her spontaneous 5-day vacation in New York with other members of my fiancé's side of the family. My parents got very offended, thinking that if they had enough for a spontaneous vacation, why didn't they help pay for the wedding? I think they exaggerated the trip out of spite, but I still kind of agree. But at the end of the day, it's their money. Now it's May, and both sides of the family are posting sassy Facebook posts, messaging inappropriate comments, and some not even talking. I posted on Facebook that we're putting the wedding off for now. I posted, "We are no longer planning our wedding for October. We want to be married and supported by loving family members, and we all know we've been lacking that recently. We will replan the wedding at a later date." I tagged everyone, and now everyone's mad at me. I tried to stay out of the drama, but seriously, what the heck? Am I the idiot? And what do I do now? What do I do now? Elope. Give the money back to your parents. Elope with just the 2 of you and a couple of witnesses. And then if everyone complains, tell them you just didn't want to have to mediate on a family feud on your wedding day, which is a pretty reasonable request from both sides. And at least you won't have to see mother-in-law's sour face. So yes, elope. Unfortunately, putting the wedding off just multiplied the drama. Do you really think they're all just going to behave better in a year? Are any of these adults going to start acting like adults anytime soon? You just signed yourself up to do this all over again. These people need to learn what healthy boundaries are. Everyone's the idiot, not a darn adult in the whole room. The parents are acting like idiots, but calling off the wedding didn't help anything. I think you are the idiot. You would not be the idiot for just deciding to postpone, but the way you did it, dramatically tagging everyone on social media, I'm embarrassed for you. And really, you just proved future mother-in-law right that you're overly dramatic. No one owes you money for your wedding, period. Your in-laws could go on never-ending vacations, and it would be irrelevant. The fact that you let your parents attack them for that is gross. It was an honest-to-God marriage proposal. I very much wanted to marry her. She's just a klutz, and I didn't trust her in the real thing. I took her to Coachella for the second weekend and to propose. It was a great time, and she got to see, no doubt, who she loves, because her dad used to listen with her when she was a baby. Anyway, I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. She loved the ring. I had it sized, but it was the brass and moissanite copy that I had made so she wouldn't lose or damage the real one at the concert, which she promptly did. And then she pretended not to. She said it was too tight and that she had put it away until we got back to Phoenix. When we got back, she asked me where I got the ring. I told her, and she tried to replace it, until they told her how much it cost. She came to my place crying to tell me she lost the ring and to beg my forgiveness. I told her right away that it was no big deal because I had the real one with me and we could go get it sized perfectly so she wouldn't lose it. My mistake because she lost her temper. She went off on me for making her not enjoy the weekend because she was worried sick that she had lost her ring. I would have told her the truth if she had told me she lost it. I didn't want to take any chances with her ring at that massive venue. She screamed at me that I was a complete idiot to make her worry like that. She said a lot of stuff that I guess had been building for a while, and she said things she could not take back. I told her to get out. She asked for her real ring, and I said no. I'm not marrying someone who thinks this is the way to behave towards me. I told her she had to leave or I'd get the security guys to get her out. She's only signed in as a guest, so it's fine for me to get her out. I feel like I dodged a bullet, but also kind of bad that I didn't tell her at the concert that it was fake so she wouldn't worry. My parents are wondering why we broke up, and I don't really know what to say. Am I the idiot for proposing with a fake ring? Not the idiot. My dude, that's like a nuclear missile dodged. She lost the ring, lied about it, tried to double down on the lie by trying to replace it, and then blamed you for her lies by running her stupid mouth, then asked for the real ring? She's 10 gallons of crazy in a 1-gallon bucket. Was her plan to buy another exact copy of the engagement ring and never tell you? As in, potentially spend thousands of dollars rather than admit to poor judgment or irresponsibility to her spouse. Man, just imagine if she gets pregnant by another man. You know what's coming to you then? A normal person would have apologized and asked for help finding it. I think you saw the real one here. Better now than after the wedding. My husband proposed while we were traveling in the Rockies. After saying yes, I actually went off on him for getting such an expensive ring and that I'm likely to lose it during our trip, etc. He laughed and said that he knows me. That ring is not gold and diamonds or cubic zirconia. Thank goodness. I still have that ring with me, and I cherish it. I'm from India, but I live in the USA. It's basic manners to ask a guest whether they'd like to have tea or coffee. Also, I had no idea that it would be considered rude in the USA. I have or had a friend at work, Mark, and his girlfriend is Sarah. She said a while ago that she'd like to visit my home. She arrived and I asked, "Would you like to have some tea or coffee?" She replied with, "What?" I repeated, "I mean, do you want tea or coffee? I have some coffee left." Her response, "You're asking me that when you know about Mark?" I was confused. Doesn't he like you having coffee or something? What about tea? She said, "I'm sorry. I'm not interested in being here anymore," and left. I got a call from Mark. He yelled at me for asking out his girlfriend, etc. I said I wasn't asking her out. I was just being hospitable. And he said that in the USA, you don't ask someone whether they want to have coffee unless you're trying to date them. He said, "You should have known better." He's super mad at me. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but what the heck are they talking about? Is this for real? I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I've lived in the USA for my entire life, and I've never heard of the idea that offering tea or coffee to someone when they come to your house means you're asking them out on a date. It is basic common courtesy for a host in the US to offer your guests something to drink. She was fine going by herself to your house, but once you offered her a beverage, you were somehow crossing a line? That doesn't make any sense. Sarah and Mark need to calm down and reassess the situation. I don't know what she told him, but it clearly got him pretty upset. This whole experience is about Sarah not wanting her boyfriend to be friends with OP, so she asked to go to the house and made up some BS story to make OP look like a weirdo. Maybe she's worried that OP and Mark are having a relationship beyond friendship. OP, don't waste your time on these crazies.